Episode 10. The battle continued at the Orion Manor. The leader of the Lightning Guild, true to his nickname, unleashed a series of overwhelming attacks. Celestial lightning. Balthazar shouted, and furious spears of lightning struck several Moon faction executives. The speed and power of his blows were such that the executives had no chance to defend themselves, falling with crackling electrical discharges surrounding them. The Class S adapter, Balthazar, had taken control of the battle, demonstrating the crushing force that led him to lead his guild. The balance of the battle at Orion Manor seemed to be tipping in favor of the defenders, but the Moon faction rarely gives up easily. In the midst of the battle's chaos, Adrian rushed toward Diana and the Dawn adapters, confirming that they were fine after the aerial attacks. "Were you able to contact Sofia?" he asked, worry latent in his voice. "Yes, they are all fine," Diana replied, relieved, as aura attacks whizzed around them, lighting up the night. On another side of the manor, Caesar and Bruno ran at full speed. Guided by a member of the Dawn, they headed toward a flank of the mansion, following Adrian's strategy to strip the Moon faction of the element of surprise and allow for an effective counterattack. Seeing the side exit, Caesar's eyes shone with fierce anticipation. "Finally!" he exclaimed, his voice charged with a mix of impatience and a thirst for combat. "Now the Moon faction will see who their executioner will be." Bruno nodded, confirming the situation and preparing himself. "Get ready, Caesar." He activated his own aura, and gusts of wind condensed under Caesar's feet, lifting him into the air with a powerful boost. "Go put on a show," Bruno told him with a smile. "You don't have to tell me twice." Caesar replied, a defiant laugh escaping his lips. Immediately, he activated his aura and launched an attack. It was the same one he first used against the hounds, an intense wall of fire that rose up, ready to consume any enemy in its path. Caesar's firewall rose imposingly, managing to divide a portion of the Moon faction executives. From the air, Caesar watched them with a savage grin and activated another technique: Blazing Spear. A torrent of spears made of materialized fire headed mercilessly toward the executives trapped within the burning wall. The attack took the confused Moon agents by surprise, but those of a higher class, with quick reflexes, managed to avoid serious injury, though the heat and impact left them shaken. A long-distance attack quickly approached Caesar, black, bright, and dangerous flames. Caesar narrowly avoided them, leaping from the current of wind that sustained him. Bruno, who had been approaching all this time while keeping his ability active, caught up to him. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice full of concern. Caesar nodded, but the greater threat loomed over them. Kael, his dark aura crackling, planted himself in front of them. "I can't have mosquitoes flying wherever they want," Kael roared, his voice a thunder of fury. "It's time to crush them." The power difference was overwhelming. To face a Class S adapter like Kael, Bruno and Caesar would have to fight together. Fortunately, their auras were compatible, fire and wind, allowing them to complement the lack of individual power with a devastating synergy. The real battle was about to begin. In the midst of the battle frenzy, with aura attacks slicing through the air around them, Diana approached Adrian, who was immersed in the defense of the manor. "Caesar and Bruno are fighting Kael," Diana informed him urgently. Adrian, while repelling an enemy attack with a fluid movement, nodded. "It should be fine. The combined advantage of their auras helps them match the power difference with Kael." He trusted in the synergy of his companions. But Diana had something more to say, something that deeply troubled her. "There's something weird that happened in the call with Sofia," she told him. "She said they already knew everything that was happening." Adrian, surprised in the middle of the fray, looked at her with a frown. "What do you mean they already knew? How did they find out?" "The communication was cut," Diana replied, with helplessness in her voice. "I couldn't find out more about it." Diana's revelation sowed a new seed of uncertainty in Adrian's mind. A few minutes before chaos erupted at the police base and Orion Manor, Ren, Leo, and Sofia were in a field near the Aurora's base, immersed in a training session. "This is the second part of the previous battle," Sofia told the rookies, her eyes shining with a mix of seriousness and anticipation. Ren and Leo prepared themselves, focused on improving their skills. They tried to replicate the same maneuvers they used in their previous test against Sofia, seeking to surprise her. Ren leaped with his feline agility, attempting a quick attack. However, this time Sofia reacted with astonishing speed, stopping him in the air with a simple push of her hand and sending him back. Leo tried to trap Sofia the moment she landed after her jump to intercept Ren, rapidly growing branches. But they were not enough. They began to burn almost instantly upon contact with Sofia's aura, dissolving before they could even touch her. Ren, surprised by the ease with which Sofia countered them, asked her, "What kind of monster are you?" Sofia smiled, an expression that, despite its sweetness, hid a formidable strength. "A very strong one," she replied, leaving the phrase hanging in the air. Leo prepared more branches, transforming them into arrows that he shot toward his instructor. But at the last moment, his attack stopped, a momentary indecision that cost him dearly. Sofia did not hesitate. She struck him with a fireball that left him badly bruised, lying on the ground. "You have to be more aggressive." Sofia scolded him, her voice firm. In a life-or-death battle, indecision can be fatal. Ren, hearing the reprimand, decided to change his tactic and attempted to fight with brute force, activating his bare strength ability. But not being trained in martial arts, his attacks lacked effectiveness, and Sofia countered him easily, pointing out all the flaws in his technique. The training was relentless, but the lesson was clear. Taking a well-deserved break, Ren and Leo lay exhausted on the ground, while Sofia, with her keen gaze, contemplated the landscape. It was a mix of the shattered skeletons of buildings, silent witnesses to the destruction of the resplendents, and the vegetation struggling to reclaim and conceal those urban scars. Memories of what happened with Silvano flooded Ren's mind, and suddenly, a series of images assaulted him, leaving him stunned. He clearly watched the attack on the police base. He saw Seraphina entering the control center and heard Raphael's voice through the connection with Lily. The visions became bright for a moment, only to change abruptly. Now he found himself at the Orion Manor, witnessing Kael launching his first devastating attack against the initial defensive barricade, before the black flames consumed the manor's boundaries. The concern was palpable on Ren's face as his mind processed the severity of what he was seeing. Without hesitation, Ren began to explain what he was witnessing in his visions to Leo and Sofia. The words barely left his mouth when Sofia received a call on her communicator. It was Diana. An attack. Sofia heard before the communication was abruptly cut. The coincidence was chilling. Ren didn't know how or why he was having these visions, but the urgency of what he had seen was undeniable. Danger had reached their allies, and they were the only ones who knew it. When the call was abruptly cut, the tension in the air became palpable. Sofia and Leo finished confirming that what Ren had described in his visions was, unfortunately, the truth. Sofia, with a mixture of astonishment and concern on her face, turned to Ren. "Is this the first time something like this has happened to you?" Ren hesitated for a moment before answering, his own confusion evident. Not even Leo, who had spent so much time by his side, had witnessed anything similar. "The incident with the crow at Silvano's house," Ren explained, his voice still tinged with disbelief. "Something similar happened there, but the visions weren't as clear or direct. And the important thing is that the Cardinals still don't know anything about this." Hearing him, Sofia became thoughtful, her mind analyzing the implication of this new ability. "I haven't heard of anyone else who has visions like those," she commented, lowering her voice. "Not even telepaths like Lily from the Dawn. She only links consciousnesses, basically. She doesn't see the future or events happening at a distance in this way." Analyzing the situation with her sharp strategic mind, Sofia reached a critical conclusion. She knew that Kael, with his attack team, was at the Dawn's base, fighting the guild leaders. This meant that Seraphina was alone at the police base, without the bulk of the defense forces, doing as she pleased to recover the weapon. With the plan formulated, Sofia addressed Ren and Leo, a determined and slightly savage smile touching her lips. "Okay, buddies, today we're going to thwart the Moon faction's plans." Her tone was light, but her eyes burned with unwavering determination. "However, remember that you are in training, and your levels and combat experience are very low to engage in direct battle." Ren and Leo nodded, disappointment evident, but their gaze was resolute. If necessary, they would help in any way they could. Together, they hurried toward the police base. On the way, Ren tried to explain in more detail the enemy's positions as he saw them in his visions. Sofia listened carefully, her mind processing the information. She thought that if it was only an elite squad, the number of executives must be small, but they would certainly be strong. Though nothing she can't handle, she told herself confidently. Crucial questions circled in her mind. How did they figure out where the package we recovered was located? Could there be spies in the police or the guild? All those questions, however, were useless. "Now it's time to burn some rats," she exclaimed, her voice full of anticipation. As they advanced, Ren, with his keen sense of observation, detected something unusual on top of a building about 200 meters from the police base entrance, a kind of antenna. Without losing an instant, Sofia ignited her aura and soared into the air, propelled by powerful flames, flying directly toward the building's rooftop. Upon landing, she discovered an electromagnetic pulse, EMP device. "This is what's making communications difficult," she shouted to Leo and Ren from the rooftop. "Search nearby buildings for more of these devices to destroy them." Saying this, and without waiting for a reply, she incinerated the device in front of her, reducing it to smoking ashes. The mission of distraction and defense had begun for Ren and Leo. As they advanced down the street with determination toward the police base, Sofia, Ren, and Leo located and destroyed more of the annoying EMP devices. At the last one, they encountered a moon faction sentry, but the improvised coordination of Ren and Leo, under Sofia's watchful eye, allowed them to capture him quickly before he could raise the alarm. Standing at the edge of the base's retaining wall, Sofia stopped Ren and Leo. "It's time to get serious," Sofia said, her voice taking on a tone of urgency. "Look for the wounded and take them out of the area to give them first aid." Saying this, and without waiting for a reply, Sofia ignited her aura and launched herself into the base, a flaming arrow plunging into the heart of the complex. Ren and Leo watched her departure, the glow of her aura disappearing into the interior of the building. "All right, let's go look," Leo said, heading toward the outskirts of the building. However, his gaze stopped at the main entrance, a growing concern on his face. "Leo, you take care of this area. I'll go further inside to continue searching." Leo looked at him with an expression of disapproval. "We shouldn't separate, Ren. We don't know what might be in there. Let's wait for Sofia." "I can take care of myself," Ren replied stubbornly, his instinct to help overriding caution. "Besides, I won't go deep in. Just a little past the entrance." Despite Leo's insistence, the determination in Ren's eyes was unbreakable. With a sigh of resignation, Leo nodded, and Ren ventured into the police base, leaving his friend at the entrance.